Hi, my name is Lee J, and this is Chatting with Lee. Let's see who I've been chatting with this time. I am chatting with, and I'm very, very chuffed to be chatting with, the wonderful KiKi Dee. How are you? You good?
I'm good, Lee, thank you.
Brilliant.
Yeah, really good.
I guess you're best known for sort of, I don't want to say it, but I can't think of another way of putting it, blue-eyed soul. How on earth did you get into that type of music?
Well, I mean, it feels like a long time ago, if I'm honest, that I did that. But it's what started me out when I was a young girl. And I guess I grew up loving Motown and all the singles that they released. Mm-hmm. And I also loved rock and roll because my brother was 7 years older than me, and he had a lot of vinyl from Elvis and Jerry Lee Lewis, all the American artists, Fats Domino, you know. I liked Brenda Lee. So when I was a little girl, that's what I really first listened to.
Is it true, and I don't know whether this is true, but it's some information I've been given, that you got your first paid gig while she was still working at Boots, age 16?
Yes, that's true.
Wow.
I worked at Boots for 12 weeks. In fact, my music partner today, Carmela, says, you're the only person I know who's only done a proper job for 12 weeks. But actually, I worked 3 nights a week. When I was 16, 17, 16 I would have been, at the Astoria Ballroom in Leeds, which is no longer, I'm afraid. I sang with the dance band, used to do some, sit there, you know, like the girl singer used to do in the jazz era, then get up and sing a couple of songs and then sit down again, you know. So it was a great, I mean, I can hardly remember it now, but it was a great experience to do it.
Yeah, wonderful learning curve to be involved in that type of music.
I was a little bit precocious because I guess I got serious about 11, 12 about singing, you know.
Yeah?
I didn't have a particularly great education, and my parents had not had a lot of opportunities in life. And I just felt I had a kind of quiet ambition as a child. And so I do believe if you've got the capacity in life, you can do anything you set out to do.
Yeah. You got picked up at that point by a talent scout and shunted off to London and signed with Fontana.
I did, yeah. I got a phone. My mum and dad got a phone call, it was a sales rep who had been at the Astoria Ballroom in Leeds. And funnily enough, it's the same year I went down there as Cilla started her career, Cilla Black.
Oh my God!
63, just when the Beatles and the Stones and everything was exploding in London, you know.
It must have
My
been
dad and I drove down.
Yeah.
Did an audition, and I passed it, and the rest is the beginning of my career.
It must have been a fabulous time to be there at that moment with all of the, you know, sort of 60s sound exploding around you.
Well, I think I must have had my eyes wide open for most of those couple of years, the first 2 years. It was completely magical, and, you know, the world was bigger then, in every sense, I think. It used to take 5.5, 6 hours to get from Bradford, Yorkshire, on the train to London, King's Cross. And you felt like you were going on an epic journey. You know? Yeah, so I relished it. And I remember one of the first times they put me in touch with a manager who, very shortly after signing me, signed Dusty Springfield for management, which was amazing. And I remember we used to go out to dinner and have a glass of wine. And it was, I'd never done that before. It was, I mean, people didn't do that in the early 60s. You know, blokes went to have a beer, and women had brandy and port, and, do you know what I mean? Sherry.
Yeah, and a snowball.
No one really, unless you were sort of a certain class, had wine with a meal. So that was one of the first things that I remember doing and feeling quite grown up.
During this time as well, you recorded quite a few sort of cover versions because at that time, if I'm right, you couldn't always buy the American original here. Oh, sorry, in the UK. So UK artists did cover versions.
Do you know, I think you're right. I'd forgotten that fact. But yeah, I did. I covered Why Don't I Run Away From You with Tammy Lynn, Can't Take My Eyes Off You, Andy Williams did, and the Four Seasons, I believe. Great song, that, actually. And yeah, I covered a lot of American songs. And as you say, a lot of artists in the UK were doing that.
Well, how did you end up recording with Tamla Motown?
Again, I saw through this contract 4 or 5 years. Mm-hmm. And another fluke phone call came in from Detroit saying someone had heard my voice in the admin side of the company. This was now the late 60s, 69. And They flew me over there for 12 weeks, and I did some recording. I think I did a pretty good job, in fact.
Yeah.
I'm quite pleased with what I did. I never got to sort of stay there and get the hit songs, that a lot of artists were getting. It was all about getting the hit single then on Motown, I think. They weren't really an album label until the early 70s when Marvin Gaye and Stevie Wonder put out some great albums. Yeah, so I did that. I did my work. I got the experience. Was a little bit disappointed when I came home that I wasn't going to be the biggest star in the world. Because really, at the moment, at this point in time, I didn't feel very famous. I just felt like a working singer,
Yeah. But I mean, you were the first female singer from the UK to sign on to Motown.
That's right, yeah.
And I mean, some of those tracks are still played now in Northern Soul clubs.
In fact, I'm doing a couple of Northern Soul gigs this year.
Really?
In September. It's something I got asked to do. And although the music is so different to what I do with my live show that I do all the time. In fact, I'm going to Australia for 6 weeks next week. I thought it would be an interesting exercise for my voice to get to sing some of these early songs.
Yeah.
And there's one particular song, which I bet you know, called On a Magic Carpet Ride.
Oh, yes. Brilliant track.
Which is now apparently, it became a Northern Soul hit.
Yeah.
And I think it's now worth about 600 quid, the single, if you can find it. And at the time, I didn't think anybody had heard it. It might have got a couple of radio plays in the UK, and that was about it. And tracks from Motown as well, The Day Will Come Between Sunday and Monday, which I'm pleased with.
Yeah,
I'm going to be doing a couple of those in Whitby and Southport.
Oh, excellent. Absolutely excellent.
Yeah, I think it's just quite good for me to ring the changes and use my voice as much as I can, because I'm older now and I need to use it, and I need to use it carefully to keep it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because the voice is an instrument and you've got to keep it tuned, but you've got to look after it as well, just like any instrument.
I mean, I'm not perfect. I do like milk in my coffee and things like that. Milk is apparently not good for singers, but I do my best, and I get lots of sleep and eat well, and, because it's the only way you can keep doing it. Yeah,
now, after that, you signed with Rocket, and you recorded one of my all-time favourite records. I'm not going to deny it. I absolutely love Amorous. I just think that is such a gorgeous song. Oh, it is. So atmospheric.
You know what's interesting about that song and that record is, when I do shows, when I do my acoustic show, we always do a meet and greet afterwards and talk to the audience. And a lot of people who love that song are men. Yeah. And it's actually a woman's song. It's about a woman, sleeping with someone for the first time.
Yeah.
And emotionally, the song has got lovely melody as well. But it's interesting that so many blokes really get that song. I found that quite interesting when I started to do the meet and greet,
Yeah, it is. It's one of those songs that, it seems to get right inside you, and you just think to yourself, I wish he felt like that about me. Yeah.
I've never heard that one before.
That's
so sweet.
You also did I Got the Music in Me, which once again was a huge hit, a monster track, 1974.
That was fun.
Yeah. I was going to say...
I had a band for a while and did a couple of American tours supporting Elton, which was absolutely fantastic because I was on the label. In fact, going back to Amorous, I don't know if a lot of people realise Elton John produced that track.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. But on Again to Music in Me, we did 2 American tours, and Elton was really big. 74, when he's become a huge megastar now, hasn't he? But we used to, having police escorts to the stadiums and being on the same label, we were treated very well. Because often support bands, used to have to pay. They probably do, I don't know. Used to have to pay to get on a big tour.
Yeah, buy their way in, yeah.
So that you could get the exposure of being on that big tour to a lot of people. But because I was on the same label, I was like KiKi, I was like one of the family. Yep. And in my early career, I'd actually worked with a lot of people older than me because I was so young. So this was the first time I really worked with my own age group. Yeah, Elton's 2 weeks. Elton's 19 days younger than me.
At 76, you got the big track. I mean, there's no denying it.
The big boy.
The big one. Yeah, but you only got it because Dusty wasn't well enough to do it or something.
Well, I'm not quite sure where that story circulated.
Ah, right.
I think what I suspect is, I mean, I adore Dusty. I think she's one of the best female singers to come out of the UK ever, you know, in a popular field. I think they might have discussed it at some point in her life. But I've been on the label for 3 years. I've been on Rocket Records. And when Gus Dudgeon, the producer, was producing this track, it wasn't going to be a duet.
Oh, right.
It was going to be an Elton John track, and I was going to come in and just do a few backing vocals on
Yeah.
it. So I think that story that's evolved about Dusty is a bit of a myth. And I think it comes from a stage musical that they did on her live. And I think it's a great shame that no one's got it right on her life story on stage. You know, I think people have tried, but I think the story, when you think about the musicals that are popular, you know, like the Four Seasons did one, didn't they? What's that one called?
Jersey Boys.
That's right. And Queen, and now I think the Elton film's going to become a big musical theatre show.
Yes.
It's a great shame that Dusty's show, there is one as well that's doing the circuit on Scylla that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think it's a great shame that they haven't got it right. And what's crazy to me with a lot of these biopics is the actual truth is more interesting than the stuff they make up and put in the film.
Yeah, it can be. Certainly can be.
So why do they need to feel that they have to create something other, you know?
Yeah,
I find that
true.
a bit annoying, really, because you're talking about someone's life, and I think someone who's passed away should be respected, really, because they can't really say, oh, no, that's not true, you know?
Yeah, I always feel that way about the Freddie Mercury film, because, you know, you look at it and sometimes you think, Fred wouldn't have done that, surely.
I think you've got to take them with a slight pinch of salt.
Yes. Yeah.
And seek out the truth in them and not take them too literally, because the trouble is people do believe what they see and what they read. They do.
Now, you've had quite a long relationship with Elton, if you don't mind me saying. You also recorded on his duets album. What was it, True Love?
Yes, we did True Love from High Society.
Oh, I love that.
A song which Grace Kelly sang in the film, and I thought she sang it beautifully.
Yeah.
But he did a duets album in the early 90s. I hadn't worked with him for quite a while. I hadn't worked with him since an album I'd made in the early 80s. We did a Motown track, Loving You Sweeter Than Ever.
Oh, wow.
And so it was lovely to work with him again. It really was. Have some fun in the studio. He's one of the funniest people I've ever met. And one of the most intelligent, you know. So there you go.
Now, we can't gloss over the fact that you were at Live Aid together with Elton and you did Don't Go Breaking My Heart, which was one of those moments, really. What did it feel like getting up on that stage and performing in front of all those people? Because, I mean, that was a huge worldwide
I was thrilled.
I bet.
I was thrilled for many reasons. I was thrilled because the song was a doddle for me at the time. I was singing it. I could sing it in my sleep. Do you know what I mean? We'd done it such a lot together. Great fun to perform. I wasn't billed, so there was no pressure on me in front of these billions of people on this big global link-up. So I went along with my 16-year-old niece, my sister's daughter, and we had a blast. We just hung out backstage, met all the big stars.
Oh, wow.
And hung out, you know, watched the show, went in and out of the green room out to the gig. Had a ball. That's all I can say about it, really.
Now, you've also done a lot of musical theatre, for which you were nominated for an Ivor Novello, is that right? Olivia.
Yeah, well, Olivia, and Laurence Olivier Award. The 80s really were mostly musical theatre for me, and it was a grounding time, because finally I was working as a team with other people and not just promoting myself. Because as an individual solo singer, songwriter, whatever you want to call yourself, you are on your own in a sense. You're pushing, you're promoting, your life is promoting yourself. Whereas when you work with an ensemble and a cast of a play, it's everybody's burden to be good on that particular show, if that makes sense, that night. So
yeah.
I found that very liberating to work with the team, and I enjoy people, I enjoy meeting people, and so that was a lovely experience for me. Recently,
you've been doing a lot of work with Carmelo Lugari.
Yeah, everybody gets his name slightly wrong. It's Lugeri. 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 He's Italian descent, born in England to Italian parents.
And he's an incredible...
And we've been working together since the mid-90s. We do a semi-acoustic show. We met up, and we both have been through the rock and roll thing and the pop thing. Mm. And I guess we met when we were grown-ups. I was 47. And we hit it off. He wrote he produced a couple of tracks on a best of KiKi Dee album that was coming out. And we carried on working and writing. And we've been working together ever since. And we release our own albums. We do live shows. We're touring again in the UK in the autumn all round. And that's my life now.
He's an incredible guitarist, though, isn't he?
Phenomenal, especially live, when you see him playing. He uses a loop station like Ed Sheeran does, so he can get a bit of percussion going. And you can play, it's all on acoustic. You can play a sort of riff and then press a button and it comes back to you, and then you can play over it. And that's what Ed Sheeran does, and that's how you get a fuller sound.
All right.
It's quite a thing to do. And I play a little bit of keyboards. We sing our own material. We do covers of all sorts of artists, from Kate Bush to Frank Sinatra. KiKi songs, original songs. So we call it our musical journey. We enjoy doing it. It's challenging. Every night is different. Sometimes we giggle all night with the audience, and sometimes we just play the music. That's what I do.
It sounds as though you're really, really enjoying it as well, as though it has sort of given you a feeling of fulfillment.
Well, I think that I've thought about this a lot. I was plucked out of my childhood in a sense. I don't mean that the Hearts and Flowers way.
No.
I was taken to London at 16. It was a big thing to do as still a child, I was directed, I was told what to do, and it's almost like I've gone full circle. And I've now got the freedom that I could have had before I made it as a singer.
Yeah.
So I've gone full circle. I'm enjoying it, and I'm going to carry on as long as my voice holds up, and I've got the energy to go out there and do it.
Brilliant. One more thing I want to ask you before I let you go, because I know you're very busy. What was Masterchef like?
Awful. I've turned down so many reality TV shows. I've turned out, I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, What's in the Attic, all those shows. And for some reason, I got persuaded into doing this show. I can't remember why I did it, because I don't cook. And my best friend Jenny said, "Why on earth are you doing that show? You don't cook." Well, I do cook, but I can cook, very simply. I can make a healthy meal, but I'm not a cook. I'm not a chef. I'm just not interested enough. So, of course, I went out first, and it was pretty excruciating, really. I found the two guys, Greg and the other Australian guy, quite tricky.
Yeah?
Quite, the whole show is based on making you squirm a bit, I think, because when you first go into the kitchen, you're given about 5-10 minutes to look where everything is. And half the time you're trying to search out where all the implements are that you may need to cook this particular thing you've decided to cook. So it was pretty horrendous.
You do get this headless chicken feeling when you're looking at it, and people are going, "Oh, where is everything? What am I supposed to be doing with this and that?"
Exactly. Well, I do think that in life we all get those moments. It's just the way life is, and it's how you rise up after it. And mine was on TV, unfortunately.
Look, it's been absolutely fabulous talking to you. I do wish you all the best in Australia. And
you too. Thank you. Yeah, Aussie, it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be something very new, because no one over there knows really what I'm doing. So Carmelo and I will be over there, and we'll be having a life experience, as they say.
Well, I hope you enjoy it. And
I wish you well, Lee. Thank you for calling me.
Thank you for talking to me. Take care. And
bye-bye. Bye.
Hopefully we'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe to Chatting with Lee to get more great interviews. Chatting with Lee J. Thank you.